On January 22, 2025, something happened that no one in the automotive industry had a playbook for. A company best known for making budget smartphones opened a booking window for an electric car. The site loaded, people clicked, and within 180 seconds, 3 minutes, 200,000 reservations had been placed. Not in a day, not in a week, 3 minutes. The booking servers didn't just slow down, they collapsed under the weight of it. And when engineers finally pulled the numbers, the entire EV industry went quiet. Because this wasn't Tesla, this wasn't BYD, this wasn't some legacy automaker with 100 years of engineering behind it. This was Xiaomi, the phone company. And that's the part nobody could explain. Here's what makes that number so hard to process. Tesla's Model 3, one of the most anticipated car launches in modern history, took approximately 24 hours to collect 180,000 reservations. Xiaomi did 200,000 in the time it takes to watch a YouTube video. So the question that started circulating in boardrooms from Detroit to Munich to Fremont, California was not, is this car good? The question was something much more uncomfortable. What does Xiaomi know that we don't? And this is where the story starts to get strange, because the answer isn't really about the car at all. But we'll get to that. To understand what just happened, you have to go back to 2010, Beijing, a small office. A software engineer named Lei Jun and a handful of colleagues building a mobile operating system nobody asked for. MIUI they called it, a custom Android skin, free, open, designed to run on phones most people could actually afford. The market barely noticed, but Lei Jun noticed something back. He noticed that hundreds of millions of people across Asia were being completely ignored by the premium tech industry. They wanted smart devices. They wanted connected lives. They just couldn't pay Samsung or Apple prices to get there. So Xiaomi made a bet. Sell technology at cost. Make the margin on volume and loyalty. Give people something that feels premium. Charge them like it's budget. And watch what happens. What happened was one of the fastest brand explosions in consumer technology history. Phones, then laptops, then tablets, then smart TVs, air purifiers, fitness bands, robot vacuums, smart locks. Xiaomi didn't just sell products, it quietly built its way into people's homes, room by room, device by device. By 2021, Lei Jun stood in front of investors and made an announcement that the automotive world treated as a joke. Xiaomi was going to build an electric car, and they were going to invest more than $10 billion to do it. The jokes didn't last long. The Xiaomi YU7 is not a modest entry into the EV market. It is not a proof of concept. It is not a let's see how this goes experiment. The range sits at 800 kilometers on a single charge. Tesla's Model 3, the world's best-selling electric car, tops out around 600. The U7 hits 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.78 seconds. That's not just fast for an electric car. That's fast for anything. The dual motor, a WD version, grips the road like something that costs 3 times as much. In rain, in mud, on the highway, it doesn't matter. The battery is a 101 kilowatt unit with a thermal management system, so precise that the car is actively learning how you drive and recalibrating its power consumption in real time. And the charging, 15 minutes, 300 kilometers. That's the claim. To put that in context, you stop for a coffee, you come back, you have enough range to drive from London to Paris. Now, here's where the numbers get genuinely disorienting. In China, the YU7 starts at around 215,000 yuan. That's roughly 25 to 26 lakh Indian rupees, approximately $28,000 at current rates. A Tesla Model S Plaid, which offers comparable performance, costs over $90. You are getting within reach of the same acceleration, more range, and a smarter onboard system for less than a third of the price. This is the moment most people watching Xiaomi's launch presentation leaned forward in their chairs and thought, wait, how is this possible? The honest answer is that Xiaomi didn't invent any single miraculous technology. What they did was something arguably more impressive. They engineered the circumstances that made it possible. First, supply chain. Xiaomi had already spent over a decade building deep manufacturing relationships across China. When they turned toward EVs, they didn't have to start from zero. They already had factories, logistics networks, and procurement systems that could scale fast and cheap. Second, they partnered with the best battery supply from CATL and BYD, two of the most advanced battery manufacturers on the planet. Xiaomi didn't need to invent blade battery technology, they just needed access to it, and they had the relationships to get it. Third, and this is the part the automotive industry genuinely didn't see coming, Xiaomi didn't have to build the software from scratch either. HyperOS already existed. It was already running on 600 million active devices worldwide. The car didn't need a new brain. It just needed to be plugged into the one Xiaomi had already built. And that changes everything about the cost structure. When Tesla builds a car, they build the car. The software, the ecosystem, the infrastructure, it's all being built simultaneously, at enormous expense. When Xiaomi built the U7, the ecosystem was already there. The phone in your pocket, the watch on your wrist, the TV in your living room, the smart thermostat in your hallway. The car simply became another node in a network that already had hundreds of millions of users. That's not a car company selling you a car. That's a platform company selling you one more device. And this is where the story gets uncomfortable. Because once you see it that way, you can't unsee it. But this only matters once you understand what happened next, and how far the shockwave actually traveled. When the YU7 numbers came out, the first call in the American automotive press was predictable. Is this a threat to Tesla? Can it enter the US market? What does Elon Musk do now? The analysis was mostly surface level. Trade barriers, import tariffs, regulatory hurdles. Analysts assured readers that Xiaomi faces enormous obstacles entering Western markets, and that Tesla was safe for now. But the more interesting conversations were happening somewhere else entirely. In Europe, automotive engineers were looking at the U7's aerodynamics and asking quiet questions about their own pipelines. In Germany, executives at legacy manufacturers who had spent years building their own EV transitions were suddenly recalibrating their competitive timelines. The U7's interior, a curved display dashboard that feels closer to an aircraft cockpit than a car cabin, touch-sensitive steering controls, AI voice recognition that manages climate, navigation, entertainment, ambient lighting by mood wasn't just matching European premium EVs, it was making some of them look conservative. In India, the conversation was less about engineering and more about brand memory. Indians already own Xiaomi phones. They already trust Xiaomi TVs. The emotional distance between "I use their products and I'll buy their car" is shorter in India than almost anywhere else on earth. If Xiaomi localizes the U7 for Indian pricing and road conditions, the disruption to Tata Motors, Mahindra and MG would be immediate and significant. And sitting somewhere in all of this, not commenting publicly with any real specificity, was Elon Musk. Musk has called Chinese EV companies the most competitive in the world. He said it about BYD, he'll eventually have to say it about Xiaomi, because what Xiaomi has done is not just build a competitive car. They've demonstrated a completely different theory of what a car company is supposed to be. Tesla's theory: we are an energy and transportation company built around the vehicle. Xiaomi's theory: the vehicle is just one part of the life we've already built around you. These are not the same theory, and the difference matters more than any spec comparison. Lei Jun stood on stage at the YU7 launch and said something that most people in the room probably heard as marketing. He said Xiaomi's goal is not to be a car company. Its goal is to own mobility as a platform. By 2030, Xiaomi has publicly outlined plans for autonomous robotaxi services, built on HyperOS, running across Chinese cities without drivers. They are actively researching urban air mobility, small aerial vehicles bookable from a smartphone, navigated by GPS, flying over traffic, the same system that tells your Xiaomi air purifier to turn on when air quality drops, the same system that locks your front door when your watch detects you've left the building. That system, scaled to an entire city's transportation layer. It sounds like science fiction until you remember that in 2010, the idea of a phone company building a car that would outsell Tesla on day one also sounded like science fiction. And this is the question that doesn't have a clean answer yet. We've spent this whole story asking whether Xiaomi can compete with Tesla, whether it can break into Europe, whether it threatens BYD or Tata or Volkswagen. But what if that's the wrong question entirely? What if the real disruption isn't that Xiaomi built a better car, it's that Xiaomi doesn't think it's in the car business at all? Because if mobility becomes a service, if transportation becomes a subscription, layer managed by the same operating system running your phone, and your home and your watch, then the company that owns that operating system doesn't need to win the car market. It just needs to make the car market irrelevant. And right now, There is exactly one company on Earth that has the ecosystem, the manufacturing scale, the brand trust, and the stated intention to try. 200,000